Hello and welcome. I intend to show you some very basic features in Open Broadcaster software which we can use to make decent e-content video. Now when we open, this is not how Open Broadcaster software is going to look, and this is for people who have already installed it. If you have not installed it, this is what you should do. You should go to your browser, type obsproject.com as you could see above. You will be taken to this website where you have three options. In the first option, you have the Windows variant of OBS Studio and Mac OS variant of OBS Studio and Linux version of OBS Studio. I'm very sure that 80 to 90% of us will be using Windows, right? Otherwise, you could choose the other two. And even if you are choosing Windows, there is one small thing which you should keep in your mind before downloading it. You need to find whether your operating system, that is Microsoft Windows operating system, is a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit operating system. Now, if you have got your laptop or desktop in the last 4 or 5 years, I'm very sure that it should be a 64-bit operating system. But then let us not take that guess. Let us go to the start menu, go to control panel, click on control panel, click on system and security, click on system, and the page you get is where you will find out whether your operating system is a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit operating system. And what I have now with me is a 64-bit operating system. You could see the cursor here. I am running the cursor around it. It's a 64-bit operating system. So when you go back, when you click on it, it will prompt you and ask whether you want a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit operating system. So once you install it, you open Open Broadcaster software, and this is what you will not be getting. So that let me make that sure first. Right now I'm using Open Broadcaster software itself to make this video, and that is why you're seeing this looped screen format, right? So when you open Open Broadcaster software for the first time after you install it, there will be a black screen, right? So you could see that in the sources I am using display capture, right? So I'm capturing my display. That's what it means, and that's how I'm able to show you what I have been doing right now. So I'm going to take you not step by step, but then in a very non-linear method, I'm going to show you what are the things that are around, so that you could clarify on whatever you have learned about Open Broadcaster software before. So the first thing we take into consideration is the files menu. You click on files menu, there are 7 to 8 options. We will be using only the first 3 options. Show recordings is the option where after you start the recording and complete the recording, you don't have to search where your recording has gone to. You could just click on it and OBS will open that particular folder or file where the recording has been to, right? So you click on it. After you finish the recording, it will take you directly to the place where your recording has been stored. Remix recording is very important, for the matter that whenever you make a recording, the default video format that the OBS software will render to you is an MKV. It's an MKV file. So OBS only records all your videos in MKV format, but then most of us would need MP4 format or any other format, and this is exactly what your Remix recording does. After OBS had recorded your videos, if you want them to be changed to a different format, what you could simply do is that you click on Remix recordings. This is what it will do for you. There will be a prompt window where there will be 2 tabular columns. One tabular column will read OBS recording, the other one will read target file. So there is a cursor blinking in front of you. You click on the 3 dots over here. It's a button, right? You click on it. What will happen is that it will take you to the place where the recording has happened. So let's say that you have completed a recording and then you click on it, and as soon as you do that, it will ask or it will prompt you. Another prompt window will open in front of you, asking whether you want those videos to be converted into a particular format, and that is what it will be doing. The best thing about this is that if at all you will have to do that, if at all OBS recording, OBS Studio does not have this facility, you will have to rely on another external converter software like Format Factory or so on, so that the reliability is lesser, right? But then OBS itself is providing you this facility, and that is why you could use Remux recordings for converting your recording formats from one format to the another format. The third one is the most important thing, settings, right? So when you click on settings, it prompts another window for you. There are 7 to 8 options for you. In this, we will be mostly using output and then hotkeys, right? So output is the second way in which you could use your recordings, and then you could change the recording format also, right? So this is where you see here, you could record, and then you could ask for OBS to render the recordings you have made in a different format, and then only 4 formats are available. There are .mov extensions available, there are .mkv, .flv and .mp4 formats available for you. So it will be rendered only in these 4 formats for you. Audio and video, it's for you to explore. If you want it in different resolution, if you want different modes of audio recording, then you could explore audio and video. But then hotkeys is very, very important to us. Now you could already see that I have started assigning hotkeys to it. Meaning, you could look at your keyboard right now. Now if you have to start recording, as soon as you start recording, if at all you are using display capture, you will have to move the cursor. Let's say it's in the left or in the right. You move from one corner to another corner, click on start recording, and then the recording starts, right? And then when you have to stop recording while you are speaking, you will have to find time, and then you will have to freeze, right, for a moment, stop the recording for a moment, stop speaking for a moment, and then click on stop recording. It's one thing that you could do it, take it to an editing software and cut the last part, but then there is a very reliable shortcut you have with you in OBS software. You could use keys as hotkeys, right? So that if you assign certain keys for start recording and stop recording, and this is what it will do for you, right? So I have assigned Q and A. So because I'm a left-handed fellow, right? So I have Q and A, which is in the left-hand side of the laptop. So if I click on Q, after I have assigned it for start recording, it will start recording. After I am done with the recording, after I am done with the voiceover, what I could do is that I could touch on A key in the keyboard, and then it will stop recording. Like that you could do it. Like that you could assign hotkeys for so many other things, which we will come back to later. But right now we need to understand that hotkeys is something very reliable in OBS software. You could use it. It makes your job a little more easier than you could think about. Next is where we will look at the scenes box. Scenes box is a very advanced feature used in OBS Studio. I'm not going to give you a tutorial on scenes, but then you could again explore, because I have not learned much about it. But then in my own understanding, this is how it works. So you are using, let's say, when you click on plus here, you are using video capture. While recording the video, you might be using certain filters and certain effects on the video that is being recorded, right? So you could use effects separately, you could use filters separately. So when you are doing this, let's say that you are using a combination of effects, combination of filters, combination of frame, PNGs, everything, etc. Let's say that if you have to change these effects and filters according to the recording progresses, in a jiffy, in a moment, you could convert them into scenes separately. Let's say that you are using one combination of effects and filters in scene. You could use another combination of effects and filters as scene 1. You could rename them before, you could save them, right? You could save them before itself. So scene 2, you could do the same thing. You could use different combination of effects and filters and then rename them as scene 3. So when you are, after you do that, if you add them as scene 1, scene 2 and scene 3 over here, after you do that, while you are doing your display capture or while you are doing your image capture or while you are doing your video capture, what you could do is that in a moment's time, you click on scene 1, right? Imagine that scene 1 and scene 2 are over here, right? You click on them, the effects and filters, the combination of effects and filters you have saved against the name scene 1 will immediately be applied onto the video, right? So you get my point. So the effects and combinations in the combinations of effects and filters with the click will be applied to the video that is recording in front of you, and that is the best part about scenes box here. So it is an advanced feature. Right now I don't see that our e-content video probably needs to use scenes, right? But then still I will whatever I have learnt about effects and filters, I'll still try and explain it to you. Now the third box is the sources box, which is the most important box over here. Now this is the box where you do 50% of the work, or see, you could say 60 to 70% of the work with OBS software. Now there is this plus symbol, as you could see in the scene box also. Plus means add, minus means remove. There is a move up button and move down button, and then you have the same, except there is an extra settings button over here. So I'm going to click on add now. You could see there are varied options here, right? There are varied options. They have their own features in it. So what does simply sources mean? Sources is somewhere where the recording material is taken from, right? So whether you want to take your recording material from images or image slideshow, right? Whether you want to take your recording materials from just you need to use text, whether you need to use video capturing device, or whether you need to use display capture, or you just need only audio output or input capture. So I'm going to show you only 3 here, right? So these 3 are the most important things, right? I'm going to show you display capture, I'm going to show you image slideshow, I'm going to show you video capture device. Video capture device is when you click on it, you could see that the sources box is quite big, meaning you could add more than one source for your recording. I would like to remind you what a source is. A source is a box where you could add the source for your recording, meaning you want to record using the display of your laptop or desktop, or use the webcam of your laptop or desktop, or you want to use a image slideshow, right? So you are trying to tell OBS Studio that this is the kind of recording I would like to make, right? So that is why you are using this sources box. Now I'm going to teach you how to we will start with the hardest part. We will start with the video capture device first of all, right? So as soon as you start with the video capture device, it's going to ask you certain information. It does not concern us, right? You are not going to create any new video capture devices. So you leave it to the default, right? So you let it blink and make source visible, yes, right? So if you checkbox this, select this, it's going to show here that video capture device has been enabled, right? So you just click on OK. As soon as you click on OK, and that is where you could see that the webcam has been enabled right now, and you could see me now, right? So that is a proper background. And make sure that as soon as follow proper virtual ethics when you do that. Make sure that if you are going to record using this, there is proper background. All right. So once again, it's going to show you a lot many of the options you would be using, but then all of them have been set to default, so you don't have to worry about any of the options that are given here. HP Wide Vision HD is name of the webcam I have, right? So if you have more than 2 or 3 webcams, if you think you have to use one or the other webcams, you could click on it and then use it. XSplit VCam is another software I had uploaded, right? I have used in my laptop. I have installed it in my laptop for various other reasons. Maybe a little later I'll talk to you about it. But then right now I'm going to use my webcam, the inbuilt webcam my laptop has. So like I told you once again, you don't have to think about what these options are. All of them would have been set to default, and then it will be in working condition, proper working condition. So you click on OK, and now you could see that my display capture, right? So look at that. When I touch outside the box of the webcam display, you could see there is a red box around it. All right, it is being highlighted, meaning that it is under selection. It is being selected. So when I click outside it, the display is being selected over here, right? So you could see here very well that two different sources are being used. One is the display capture, that is I am trying to talk to you through OBS, and that is how the recording is happening. And then second, I am trying to demonstrate to you how video capture device works, right? Now I am going to show you a simple thing over here. Now if you select on the webcam output, right, the webcam output that is being shown to you through OBS Studio, it is in a corner, it is very small. All right, so you could resize it. This is something anybody would very easily find out, right? So you click on the small boxes and then you click and drag. You hold the left mouse button, you click and drag. I guess you know about this, right? So you click and drag, you could resize it, right? Resize it to the amount that is necessary for you. But then you could resize it only a certain level. All right, that is also is there. You cannot make the display full, right? But then there is one shortcut to make the display full. I will show you how. You right click and then you have many. You should make sure that you right click on the source, right? If you right click on this source, it will show you only the options for that particular source, right? So I'm going to show you how this thing works. So I'm selecting it and then I right click. Only then, look at that, only then these kind of options will be showing. So in that you go to transform, right? In transform you go to this option called fit to screen, right? Now automatically it is highlighted over the display capture, right? And then the webcam output has been made in such a way that it goes all over the screen, right? It is fit to the screen. That's what I'm trying to do here, right? So if you don't want that to happen again, you could select it and then resize it. Now look at that. I'm going to teach you one more stuff. Now if you want the display capture not to be visible, what you could do is that, or you don't want the video capture not to be visible, think of these as layers. This is first layer, video capture device is first layer, display capture is second layer. Maybe that it is not effective right now, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on display capture and then use click on the move up button, right? So you could see that my display capture has vanished, right? Sorry, my video capture has vanished, right? But then it is still there, right? Maybe that it is not visible to you, but then it is still there. So how can you undo it? You have to click on display capture once again and then move it down. So your video will come back here again, right? So what is basically happening is that this is the first layer, right? This is the first layer according to the sources box over here, and the display capture is the second layer. So when I push the video capture down, right, it becomes the second layer. So this layer has superimposed itself on the video capture device, and that is why you're not able to see my face over here, right? So when you click back, move up again, it comes to the first layer and then you're able to see it. So this is how you could move layers up and down, right? Now like I told you, this may not be useful right now to you, but then when you go for image slideshow and then screen recording parallelly, this will become something very important, and I think that is what I'll show to you right now. So we are going to go for the third capturing, source capturing, right? We are going to use image slideshow, right? So like I told you, when this window prompts, you don't have to worry about anything. You just click on OK, right? Now there are many different options that are given in front of you, right? You don't have to worry about it that there are too many options given in front of you, right? So the first one says visibility behavior, it does not concern us. Slide mode, automatic, it does concern us, right? So, maybe as a demonstration, I'm going to show you a few image, I'm going to add a certain slideshow, pictures, right, images, right. So you cannot add a PPT directly. That's the only thing about OBS platform. You cannot directly add an OBS, you cannot directly add a PPT into OBS platform. So what you'll have to do is that maybe, I'll close it for this moment and then I'll show you that. For a moment, I'm going to also clear my display video capture, right. I'm going to minus it and then remove it so that my video device has stopped working, stopped being enabled, right. It has been disabled, so you are only looking at display capture. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to demonstrate to you right now how PPT can be added, right. You cannot, like I told you, you cannot add PPT directly. You will have to add through this manner. Let's say that I have a PPT like this, right. So I'm going to use this PPT over here. So let's say that I have around 23 slides over here, right, and the first slide is this, which says literary theory and introduction. Now OBS cannot use the PPT extension as a direct image source. See, look at here, when we open sources, right, when we open sources, it does ask you image slideshow, right. So when you click OK here, you cannot add PPT file over here. So you could see here, right, image files, right. It says image files over here. This is the place where you could click on the plus button and add the PPT. Now if you are going to add the PPT straight away, it would not add it over there. Alright, you cannot do that. So I'm going to show you, right. I'm going to show you how that happens and how, see, look at that. So, the image files over here, right. It is enabled in such a manner that you can only add BMP, PNG, JPEG, JPG and GIF files, right. You cannot open any other files over here. So, like I mentioned to you before, PPT cannot be added here, right. It cannot be added straight away here, right. It cannot be added to this folder here, right. So, what can you do about it? I'll show you that also. So, you go to the PPT you want to upload, right. So, let's say that this is the PPT I want to upload right now. You click on File, you click on Save As, and you click on any folder, right. So I'm going to leave it on the desktop right now. It is asking you about the destination where it should be saved, right. So PowerPoint presentation, it is asking you whether you want to save it as a PowerPoint presentation. That is exactly not what I want to do, right. I want it to be saved as either PNG, JPG or GIF file, right, GIF file, because that is what OBS is asking you. For right now, I'm going to save it as a PNG file. Alright. So you click on save. It is going to ask you whether you want to use all the slides, right. So yes, right, if you want just the slide which has been selected, you could click just this one. But then if you want all the slides to be converted into a PNG file, you click on all slides, right. It will take a moment. Depending upon the number of slides, it's going to take up a few moments. You click on OK. You are going to read this. It will say that it has been saved as a separate file. So you click on OK, you come back, you close this PPT. So where did I save it? Hope you remember, I saved it in the desktop, right. So I'm going to go to the desktop and there you see, right. So all the slides, if you open it, the 23 slides have been saved as PNG files over here, right. And this is what you could use in your OBS file, right, as an OBS source, right. So I'm going to show it to you right now. Now if you have already added, this is another shortcut you could go to. You don't have to click on it, remove it, and then add it once again and then go back to the properties file, right. So you could click on it, right click on it, click on properties, it will open the same file, right, same prompt window which you will be using to add your image files, right. So you click on plus here, you go to add files. Now click on add files, go to the place where you have saved your PNG files, click on Terry Eagleton folder because that is the folder. Right, adding files in image slideshow is very easy. It is one of the easiest things you could do. So you click on plus, you click on image slideshow, click on OK. I hope you could see the files that the prompt window that is visible here. The slide mode can be turned on into automatic and manual. I would never recommend you to go for automatic, because as soon as you add the files right over here, the slideshow will start automatically. That's the meaning, right? So I would always want you to keep it to manual, right? But if you keep it on manual, it also says that use hotkeys to control slideshow, right? So you remember what a hotkey is. Alright, so if you leave it on automatic, this is what will happen every 8000 milliseconds, right? So it says time between slides. Every 8000 milliseconds, the slide will transit from one slide to the another slide. Now you don't want that to happen, right? You want to make a very free and you want to have your PowerPoint presentation with your own ebb and flow. So you don't want that to happen. So you always leave it on manual. That's my recommendation. So as soon as you do that, you need to change one more thing. That becomes very necessary. Okay, right. So I will show you one more thing before what we could do here. You will have to go to hotkeys, right? So you know how to get to hotkeys. You could see that image slideshow can be assigned with hotkeys. So if you are going to perform a PPT presentation along with your face on screen, you will have to think about next slide and previous slide. These are the only two options you'll be using. Maybe if you want to you assign keys for restart, stop and play and pass, maybe that you could use those also. But then right now we are going to keep it to next slide and previous slide. So the hotkeys assigning works very simply like any other hotkeys. If you have did it before, you click on the box right here, and then the cursor starts blinking over there. You just touch on your keyboard the hotkey, right? So let's say I decide for the PPT to move on to next slide. I would like to assign the hotkey right, the right arrow key in my keyboard, so it becomes right. So for previous slide, I make it left arrow key, so it becomes left. Now the only thing is that as soon as you click the pointer into the box, you will have to think about only clicking the assigned hotkey, right? Whatever key you would like to hotkey you would like to assign, you should be thinking only about that, right? So if you have made a mistake, don't click on backspace, because if you click on backspace, now the backspace key will be assigned, so it will be overwritten, right? So you want only the right key, so you click on only the right key, right? If you have made a mistake, let's say if you have made a mistake, you have by some mistake you have clicked on backspace key, right? So what you do is that you don't click once again backspace, you click on delete, right? And then you put the pointer back into the box and then click the right key once again. So as soon as you do that, click on apply, you click on OK, right? Now we have come to the main window, right? The main OBS platform. Now you could move your image slideshow back on, right? So there is another shortcut where you can open the place where you use you change there is a prompt window for the image slideshow sources, right? You remember, right? As soon as we click the sources from the plus symbol here, you could find a prompt window, right? So you could bring back the prompt window. That's the idea, right? So how do you bring back that prompt window? You click on you enable it first. You enable image slideshow or whichever thing you would like to bring back the prompt window for. You enable it, then you right click over it, you click on properties, and that is how it will bring it back, right? So now you could change the automatic, the slide mode into manual instead of automatic. Now you go down here, you could see that there is a space for image files. I'm going to click on the plus symbol, I'm going to click on add files, and then you are taken to the place where your slide has been converted into PNG. Now you should remember that you cannot use PPT files over here. You will have to, whatever PPT you use, you will have to convert them into BMP, TGA, PNG, JPG or JPG or GIF files back, right? So you use it. Let's say I would like to add 3 slides from here. So click on open, right? Those 3 files will be listed here, right? Those 3 files will be listed here. Now you could see it. So these 3 files could be listed here, and then I click on OK, right? I click on OK. We come back here. I have pushed the image slideshow into the second layer, so that is why it's not visible. I'm pushing it back into the first layer. Now it is back. So it is not fit to the window. You could see that, right? The display is being captured. It is not fit to the window. There is black space down. So you remember what should be done. Right click, transform, fit to screen. Right now you could explore the manual mode of it. You could explore the hotkeys that has been assigned. So I'm going to click on the right button and then the PowerPoint will move forward. If you want to go back, you press the left key and then it moves backwards, right? So that is how hotkeys works for you. So the next thing I'm going to show you is a very important filter that will be part of filtering your device, right? Your video capture device. This is something I learned very recently, and then I'm still exploring it, but then I could show it to you so that you could use your own creativity, your own imagination, and then try it over, right? So that is how you do it. So you have highlighted the video capture device, and then I'm going to apply some filters to this particular source, right? I'm not going to apply the filter on image slideshow source. I'm going to do it on the video capture device source. So I'm clicking on it. Now you could see that it has highlighted. I'm going to right click on. Right, so we are going to look at the crop function right now. What basically happens when you do the crop function is that you could crop your webcam output. So this only works when you add your video capture device, but then I'm going to try it as a filter over here. And when you look at that, for your display capture it won't be visible, right? So whatever I am doing right now with display capture, you are supposed to do it with video capture. All right, so you can actually transfer the skill. So when you open right click video capture device, right, and then click on filters, this is what you will be seeing. There are these many options. You click on crop, right, and then it's on default. You could open it. So this is what you will be seeing. You will be seeing all these values, right? Values, and then the positions: left, top, right, bottom, right, left, top, right, bottom, right? These are the values, right? So they are set to 0 value right now. Okay. So only thing you should be remembering is that whatever value you put, right, whether it be plus or minus, right? You could assign both kind of values, right? You could give it minus 400, right? So you could see that as soon as I do that, from the left margin, right, it has moved 400 to the 400 pixels to the right. So since it is the left margin has moved right. So you could do the same thing with the right margin as well. So minus 400, right? So look at that. So it could crop. All right. So if you are having a background which needs to be cropped, and then you don't want, let's say, it's the same function you do it with an image, right? So you take a photo, and then you imagine that you don't want all of the background that is part of the image to be visible. You crop it a little bit especially when you apply your profile picture for your Facebook, right? It exactly works in the same manner. So you could only understand this by exploring it using video capture device output, right? You cannot do it with display capture, but then since I'm unable to show it to you right now because there is an overlay, right? I am not able to show you. So you could transfer the same skills and then use it as an exploration or experimentation to do that as well, to do it in the video capturing device output mode as well. So only thing you need to keep in mind is that the left and the right value should be relative, right? It should be relative because it won't be center aligned like this, right? So when I say this, you may not understand this, but then when you do it for yourself, you'll understand why I'm saying this. Left and right should be relative, right? If it is minus 400, maybe the right value could be go up to minus 390 or minus 420, 415, something like that. If it goes a little more than that, this cropped image would look either tilted to the right too much or tilted to the left too much, something like that, right? So only thing is that you should be worrying about that.
Now, after these recordings are over, I'm very sure that you won't be fully satisfied with your e-content. There may be, a trimming necessary, right? And for that, we have a separate software. Again, we are going to look at only a very user-friendly editing software, video editing software. It works in a very simple manner, and like OBS software, The editing software I'm going to show you is also very user friendly, and it is called OpenShot Video Editor, right? So I'm going to show you the name. It's right around here, right? OpenShot Video Editor, that's the name of it. It is another open source free video editing software. Right now, so I have made videos for our own amateur OBS tutorial, and I'm going to use the same videos to show you how videos can be edited. It works very simple. This is the preview box, right? This is the preview box. This is the box where you could import your videos, right? Import your videos in the sense, maybe let's say you're going to make an video for 1 hour, right? It may not be possible for us to continuously talk for 1 hour. What we'll be doing is that we could reduce those 1 hour video into probably 5 or 6 modules, right? So you could either publish them at 6 independent modules, or if you decide to put them into a single video, what you could do is that you need to trim them a little bit, you need to edit them, and then you need to join them together, right? You cannot, if you decide that those 6 to 8 modules have to be put together, right, trimmed a little bit and then put together, so you use this software. So this is how it works. I have already made 4 to 5 amateur OBS videos using the same recording I have spoken to you previously. So I click on files, import files, right? So I click on import files. These are the files you will be using for your editing, so you will have to remember or find out where the files are. So import files. Right, so they're over here in videos, right? So you need to find out where they are. So I have already named them for my own convenience as OBS tutorial 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the necessary videos, right? So I'm going to select them. I'm going to select only those 5 videos and then click on open, and then you will find that all those 5 videos have been imported into OpenShot software. Now you could see that in each of the videos thumbnail you could see the display capture, right? You could see the display capture. Now when you send it as a professional video, you cannot start your video directly, right? And also that, now let's preview it. So when you
Hello and welcome. I intend
even
to
before
show
you
you
start,
some very
the
basic
display
features
starts, right? If you
in
want to
Open
trim it, you will
Broadcaster
have to
software
trim it.
which we can use
So you
to
could hear
make
two
these.
audios right now because I'm playing this video. Now what I simply did is that all the necessary videos have been imported here using file and import files, right? And then after I do that, I am going to click on the first video, right? So that should be on the first. You can mix and match, right? You could go about any other way. So I clicked it, right, and then I dragged it into the tracks, right? So there are 5 tracks available for you. It is an advanced feature. We may not be using all of them. So what does tracks do is that probably that if you think that you need to remove the audio from your video, right? There are separate softwares, and then you need to add separate new audio that has been made as a voiceover. You could copy the video over here and then copy the audio over here in track 4. So when they play, the video and the audio track together will be played together, right? You don't have to rely on only the video track that has been already recorded. You could remove that video from I mean audio from this video, remove it, and then create the separate voiceover if at all you think that is necessary, and then add only the audio track here. And then if you play it at the same time, when the track pointer moves here, this is the track pointer, when it moves, the audio at the same moment and the video at the same moment will be playing parallelly. But then that is another advanced feature here. Only if you are exploring too much into OpenShot editor, you'd be using it. Otherwise, this is more than enough. All right. Okay. Right. So now I'm going to show you little tricks. This is not a trick actually. Right. So if you want to, Let's play it and then
Isn't
see.
e-content video.
It is going to
Now,
run
when we
for
open,
4
this
minutes
is
15
not
seconds
how
as it
Open
shows here,
Broadcaster
right? I'm
software is
going to
going.
pause it for a moment and then go back, pull the track pointer to the end, right? I'm going to pull it to the end, pull it to the end like this, and then let's say that there are last few seconds. Let's say that okay, when I have pulled it so far, right, it is for 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Right about 4 minutes 8 seconds the track pointer had been pulled down to, right. Let's say that I want to snip this portion off, right. I don't want this portion starting from 4 minutes 8 seconds 17 milliseconds. Let's say that I don't want this portion. What I could simply do is that I could go here. There is a scissor icon, right, razor tool. It's called the razor tool. I click on laser tool. I do nothing. Whenever I take it over a track, it changes, right? It shows you a snipping tool, right? So you could place it in whichever point you are, before the track pointer or after the track pointer or very close to the track pointer. If you know, like, just to demonstrate, I'm going to click right over here, right. As soon as you do that, look at that, right. Maybe I like to make sure as soon as you have to stop the cursor to be a razor tool, you go and click back again on it. Now it becomes a normal selection cursor, right. So now this is the part you do not want, right. If you do not want this part, you click on it, the whole focus becomes red, right. It gets enabled, right. So if I touch it, this becomes enabled, that becomes disabled, right. Now if I touch on this becomes enabled, that becomes disabled, right. So what I simply do is that it's a simple function. You click on it, you you press delete, and then the track vanishes. The last few seconds, right, 7 or 8 seconds, right. But then if you think you have made a mistake, you press on Control Z, and then it comes back, right. It comes back. So you don't have to worry about it. If you are going to leave this space blank, right, if you're going to leave this space blank, when you make the video, when you are done with all the trimming and all, if you leave this space blank, at this exact moment the video will go into a black screen. You don't want that to happen. You want that to be a continuous screen, right. Instead, you could also think about this. OpenShot editor allows you to add animations, add even images to it, right. So what you could basically do is that, like I told you, OpenShot editor also allows you to add image files, right. So let's say that you are preparing any video for a webinar, you would like to add the invitation of it. You could again click on import files, use that image file, right. You can use that image file. Let's say this is an image file. I click on it, I click open, it would be added here, right. You click and drag on it. You could, like any other video file, you could also click and drag an image file and then post it here, right. You could paste it here. What you'll have to do after that is that you shouldn't leave this gap. That's the point I'm trying to make here. You shouldn't leave this gap. What you could do is you click on it so that it gets enabled, and then drag it, right, until it gets joined like this. Right now these two videos have joined, right. So when you play it, it will be continuous. If you want to add if you want to let's say and add an image here, you could add an image, right. If you want to add an image in the start of the video, you could add an image, right. So that is how trimming works, right. You could trim any point of the video. You could also save the same project as, like you do in any Microsoft file for that matter. Save project as, so that these things will be kept, right, as it is, right. So once you're done with trimming, this is what you should be doing. Once you're done, you should export the project, right. You export the product, you click on it, it prompts a window. You could name it, you could give a path where the file has to be saved, and then comes the biggest thing. OpenShot Video Editor gives you the scope for making your video into so many resolution types, right? So if you're making videos for YouTube's alone, you could click on web, so that the memory is not higher, right? But then if you want the best of the quality and then no compression at all, you click on Blu-ray, right? And then vice versa, right? So if you click on web, the compression will be there, right? The video will be compressed, but then the quality will not change, right. Right. So if you leave it on high, let's say that you take a video for 1 hour, right. Let's say that you take a video for 1 hour, you leave it on HD 720 pixel 25 frames per second. you leave it on medium, and 1 hour video will be for around 200 MBs, right? But then if you leave it on high, it would be around 500 MBs. If you leave it on low, I very much recommend that you never may give it a slow, right? Because the video quality, very much slows down, and also the frames per second will make the video to slow down, right? So you either go for medium or high, right? Depending upon what kind of video you're making, what kind of audience you're looking for, what kind of video quality you're looking for, you could select any of this. And after you do that, you click on export video. Depending upon the file size, it is going to take a lot of time. So if it is a 1 hour video, it's going to take 1 hour time to export. You could use that time. You could let the process be finished, and then as soon as it is done, you could check the video again. If there is a problem, that is why you should leave, sometimes until you see a proper finished product, you should save the project, right? Save the project so that you could come back, and then everything, all the files you have edited will be as it is. You could work on it again and then export the file once again. But then it is very important, as soon as you're done, it is important that you export the video. All right.